Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions Tag Bankrupt Wins again by Adam as we go over his matchup with Steve. So we have Steve playing Gohan U7, taking on set 23 Zamasu, the tricolor deck. Like always, just buttons. Feel free to click on the video for a reason. And just to point out, yes, I do know the video is skewed as well on this one. It'll get fixed on this one towards the end. You'll see later. We'll get into it now. What's up, Adam?
Living the dream.
So Zamasu, it's a deck that we both kind of talked with about. I don't think anyone else at the shop has really talked about this deck.
Yeah.
But it is one of those ones where knowing when to play. Oh, I want to point out, I know in my video I said it's just active about. It does specify in the description of that particular skill. It is only your turn. I don't know how I missed those 3 words, but we're Dragon Ball players, so we can't read. But yeah, it's a leader that we have to timing and knowing like order of operations is very key to this deck because like there's a couple cards you can discard and then you could recombo those cards off, and then as long as you have the colors and energy, you can play those cards or you can play other cards.
Yeah, this particular Zamasu deck is really complicated because a lot of the cards are similar colors, similar effects, but they'll have different requirements. Some of them require a Goku Black and a Zamasu in the combo area. Some just require you to have 3 colors in the combo area. And so it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. I personally, I'm probably going to move to either Raditz or Androids next, but I'm definitely going to come back to this one because, as you guys know, if you've watched the channel and any of my videos, I love playing trash.
I will say this. Is it this one that throws me off? Yeah, it's this one. Is it this turn? Maybe it's not. Yeah, because you comboed it and immediately paid 1 energy. I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, you're using it for its playability. Okay.
Yeah, some of the timings are weird. Some of the Goku Blacks they'll actually combo from the drop. There's a green one that'll combo from the drop. You pay 1 green, and you get to play it. It's a 15k crit, which is nice. But yeah, I noticed playing the deck that the color green is very important for this particular deck. And I'm used to playing blue or yellow Zamasu, which is, blue and yellow are the primary colors of those decks.
I don't know how much you've changed about it since we talked about it, but I know in the video I kind of dropped for Zamasu, I kind of talk about how like the 9 drop is a card I feel like you could take out entirely because the soonest you could possibly play that card is turn 5. But if you're needing to play blue cards, none of the Zamasus or Goku Blacks are blue-green. They literally jump around that color. There's green-yellow, there's yellow-blue, but there's no green-blue. And it's really annoying because then it's like, oh, so in order to maximize this out, if I want to play things out where I want to play them, especially if you're using like Sensu Bean and stuff like that, it's a turn 6 play. And at that point, it's 5 energy. That's all green. Like you said, I do agree. This deck is it's a tricolor deck. The leader is green, and a lot of the effects require a green energy, even though they are different colors. That Goku Black is a blue-yellow, but if I recall correctly, the auto when he's comboed is a green energy.
Mm-hmm. It's really kind of frustrating for this particular leader because if it was any color other than green, this deck would be so much better. If it was a blue leader or even if it was a yellow leader, it would be really great. And you could still have tricolor, but you don't need to have it a green leader. I think they could have made a better decision there, but that's my personal opinion.
It's because Trunks is green. They typically like kind of doing those matchups in the same color aspects.
Yeah, Androids and future Gohan are both red, and yeah, it makes sense. U6 and U7 are yellow. I can appreciate that.
So he's already established his unison, but you did take out his Gohan as soon as he had it, and
yeah. And I knew that he was struggling to find the Gohans because every time that he would draw 2 cards for every single turn, he would huff and say, I'm not finding what I need. So I was like, okay, if I can kind of control these Gohans, they seem to be pretty important to him.
It's not the linchpin, but it definitely helps you 7 Gohan a lot. Like having that Gohan on board allows you to get multiple draws every turn from the leader and from it.
Yeah, and the red unison gets really big really fast. So I tried to control it as much as possible. If you're not familiar with trash Zamasu, we'll call it. um, the the field card, the Z extra card, allows you to basically have your opponent drop their entire hand if they do not have a god card in play. So I wasn't necessarily trying to get him down in his life. I was trying to control the board, be able to get his hand just demolished, and then hit him with 3 or 4 crit and double strikes to try to whittle him down.
I will say with that same aspect, you are kind of playing against that in a way. I always say because in order to reduce that particular card from a cost of 6 to a cost of 2, your opponent, if I recall correctly, has to have 4 battle cards, or at least be the original owner of 4 battle cards.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, but I also know that his board can get really out of control really quick. So I was trying to make sure that I controlled some of those cards that I knew were a little bit more important to him than others. And then if he was going to do something like play that Gohan that is in the energy, or if he was to play a blocker negate, those all count as battle cards. And so I thought that with the way that he could blow up that board and establish a really wide board quickly, I figured I had a little bit of time if I could control it.
And I think what you're about to do is actually a annoying feature of this deck. Or potentially any green deck going forward. Now, granted, this is 2 energy to pull off, but as long as your leader is green and you have 2 or more green and or yellow cards in your combo area, you can play this card and it just bounces a card on the board. So, like, he's going in for this setup. Now, granted, I do not, like I mentioned earlier, the camera is a bit skewed right now. It will be fixed later. I do not think he was nowhere near to be able to activate Vegeta's ability to restand it.
Yeah.
But you're removing that Vegeta now, and then because if you didn't remove it, you're going to probably force attacks to go into it to get rid of it, or at least commit energy to get rid of it. And at that point, he's already gaining value. You did it during his turn now, so you're now up 1 point.
Yeah. And I do have to be really careful because indestructible cards are highly susceptible to yellow and red. Because red can just neg the power down and kill them and get around that indestructible ability. And then yellow cards can just wipe out the skills, period. So it's not nearly as scary as it used to be. But it does put people on notice. As soon as you put an indestructible card out there, like, oh, I got to either deal with that or work around it.
Now, this is the 5-drop Zamasu from the set, right? Yeah.
This one is the 5-drop from the set where the yellow Zamasu was popular. I can't remember if it was 19 or 18. This is the one that has Aegis.
No, that's not the one with Aegis, unless it's a different art. The one with Aegis has his fists on the front of the screen, I thought. Unless I'm mixing cards up. I might be mixing cards up because there's so many different...
Yeah, I don't have any SPRs, so let me look it up.
I think I'm mixing it up with the 7-drop from set 23 because they're both blue yellow cards. One in your hand right now.
Yeah. The one on the field, the 5-drop blue yellow, is the 5-drop from BT16.
Gotcha. Speaking of your hand, real quick, talk about your reasoning for Vermillion Saiyans instead of either going like, say, a standard green secret rare, or even you were talking about doing possibly Android 21. Now I know we mentioned that counteracts the idea of what this deck kind of wants to do.
Yeah, what I kind of realized was that one of the requirements for that Z extra to go off is that there can only be Zamasu cards in play. So wiping the board but still having the Android 21 on board was a problem for me. So I thought going Vermillion Saiyans, my goal is to try to get further along in turns to be able to get that Z extra out. And so I thought Vermillion Saiyans was a great way to utilize my ability, my tricolor build to be able to kick out a couple of those battle cards when I'm going for that Z extra turn. I will say that all night I didn't once get a 5-drop Zamasu established with less than 4 life. Most of the time I was waiting for 4 life to awaken which is a draw 2.
You sniping that Goku. uh,
Yeah,
it's one of his few boss monsters he's added to that deck, and just knocking it out like that must have really hurt. I know. So I wasn't here this past weekend, but I did show up during this round. I think almost around this time actually. And I know Steve mentioned that he had a very rough start, early on, and like you mentioned, you were trying to keep the board control. Whenever you saw a Gohan, you're like, no, that can't stay. I saw that when I walked by over to you guys.
yep. Yeah, and I do, I do have a side. This is a nice little addition that he put in there. It's just a little blocker that's got Invoker. I don't think he plays any red blue extra cards, but it's a nice way to establish a blocker if I kill one of his battle cards.
Yeah, when he played against Fluff earlier in the day, Fluff mentioned like how he was kind of thrown off by was not expecting that at all.
Yep. And I do know that I've played. Steve really likes this deck. It's one of his favorites. This one in Jiren, he's really good at because he's put the work into, he's put the hours into it, and so the little tweaks that he makes, he's got the backbone so down that adding these little extra cards just enhances the deck's ability, in my opinion.
Yes.
Now, I will say a little bit of a pat on the back for me. I don't, if it's worthy or not, but I did get him down to like 2 cards in his hand, which is kind of crazy. But I've been killed by this Overrealm more times against Steve than I care to disclose, because he builds up that drop so fast.
Yeah. I want to point out real quick, the Frieza does state activate main, switch one of your U7 cards to rest mode. If correct me if you want to correct me in the comments, he could have switched his leader to rest mode, re-swung with the Frieza, and then popped your 4-drop Goku Black, kind of resetting your board, but he didn't do it. I'm not sure if he didn't cross his mind, because if I'm correct, you could totally do that because it specifies cards. It doesn't specify anything else outside that.
Yeah. I will say that it's nice to have access to dormant potential, but I'll also say that I'd rather have access to Riposte or to Baby Hatchiyak. So my Z deck is a little bit funky. I do play 3 of the new green Zamasus. I play 1 of the Z extra cards. But then I also play an Oolong. I play this SS3 Vegeta, and I also play Android 21, the blue Android 21, because those don't specify a specific leader color.
What is your hopes to steal? Because typically you could Z stack one of your other Z battle cards as well.
Yeah, it'll come up a little bit later, but I can Z stack a Zamasu and give it indestructible.
Okay.
So an indestructible blocker is nice to have on the board.
Does it keep the skill until end of your opponent's turn?
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I will just make sure so that I don't get roasted in the comments.
So after this match, or at least after Steve played that card, he immediately was like, I'm taking this card out of my freaking deck. It is a good card. The problem is that where unisons aren't a thing as much anymore, you don't see these free negates as much. So yes, that card would have been great against Dormant if you were playing a unison deck and you could have free played Dormant. So, but yeah, establishing the Yu Gohan and then you immediately just saying no and popping it, yeah, I feel like at this point Steve's done.
Yeah, he's about to flip the table, but I did whisper sweet nothings in his ear, so now he's okay, which is why the angle changed and everything got fixed.
Yeah.
It's great.
I blinked and I didn't realize it switched at first. I'm like, oh yeah, no, it changed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yikes,
Yeah, let
man.
us. Yeah. Getting more and more frustrated. And he just paid the one, which I figured he would do, but I mean, it's preventing him from having one extra energy, and that's okay. Um,
Were you counting a
I
Z
did
deck
need,
there?
yeah, and I did. I was checking all of his super combos because he used like two of them really early in the game.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of trying to figure out, am I going to be able to control his hand for a little bit? One of the nice abilities on this leader, the Zamasu leader, is that he does reduce the combo cost of my Zamasu Goku Black multicolor cards by one, but it also negs them by 5k, so they're
Yes.
only a 5k combo.
I
I
think
really
he
do.
I think
Go ahead.
he's going to go play Vegeta and you remind him that he's under dormant.
Yes, I did. I was a gentleman, made sure that he didn't commit those resources,
Or
so he went a different route.
okay, or Frieza, because if correct, Warriors Unit 7 uh, checks all areas, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's the same reason that you can play the green Frieza in like the red Invoker deck, the Warriors of Universe 7, because it's got the U7 trait. I will say that, I think the Zamasu deck is going to take a little bit more getting used to, but it's a lot of fun to play. I am kind of complaining a little bit just because, green is weird, and I'd rather be able to play it with a different color. But there's some really cool dynamics in it, and it's really hard to play around. If I can get proficient with it, I think that my gameplay thinking will get a little bit better, and I'll do a little bit better than what I did. Some of the bigger kind of meta choices, like I played against U7, I wasn't necessarily super scared about that because I have a sideboard of 7 yellow cards that will help me kind of control that SCR. I put 4 yellow unisons and 3 of the Vegeta counterplays in there just for those bigger Gokus. So I didn't do too bad against Jimmy when he played U7. But, of course, I still lost because that's the way you learn.
And here he's questioning with the combo ability of it, but it's only a 5k combo card in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But Steve is running low on. He already procced this turn because doesn't the leader get a draw off that? He must have
I
already
think he
procced
already
it.
did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I just realized I think he spirit boosted as well actually on that one.
Got to go to 26 or something like
Yeah.
that.
All right, so we're going into turn 6. You are tap out with a blocker on board.
I am.
I don't.
But he's also only got 2, maybe even 1 or 2 cards in hand.
I'm say yeah, I don't think he has a lot going on, which
Yeah.
but it's always plausible to go into okay, there it is. Yeah, the Vegeta play. Because this right here alone is 2 attacks. So you're blocking one of them for sure. Or you're gonna just it's not an energy cost of 1, unfortunately. Benefits of it does neg out a card off the bat. So now he's gonna be able to swing with it again. He's proccing things so he has barrier, but now he has to figure out how to do this correctly. And if I was him, I would play this deck with 3 Vegetas in my Z deck. Just to in situations like this, because like you're adding energy there on the swings. He's having 3 though.
Yep.
That's a card.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And just the sheer the draw power.
Yeah,
Just,
dang.
yep. Too many attacks for my little old hand.
Yeah, it's just how sometimes Red can just start building momentum up, even when it's put into like a corner. If you let it just start rolling, it will come right back. But we are talking about Green Zamasu, which I do recall someone in the comments once made Remember, this is a green leader and it needs to be held back to some capacity. Thank you all for tuning in. Keep in mind, there's buttons, links down below. Feel free to click them there for a reason. Bye.